Hey, I cannot help myself. Reading the Maker's Movement today, coming down into the workshop here. Reading the Maker's Movement, you guys have got me so stoked. Little connection problem there. You guys have got me so stoked. Ben Butler, it's so good to be with you guys right now. Boy, John Ryan Zander. Boy, am I ever pleased about the discussion happening today in the Maker's Movement. It's a discussion about bubbly top plies. That is a problem that I had very few times. It's been a long time since I had what I wound up calling I called it pocket delamination, and because it didn't just happen on my top plies. I noticed as I would take those boards and I would drill them. In fact, I had a lot of boards, and I just started to screw them to the ceiling. And I think if we look around here, we'll find a board that had. No, I lost you for a second there. It comes back real easy. I have boards that have got drill holes in them. I've got some boards that were pocket delams, or and a lot of times if I get a board with a giant warp, I will drill it, and I will find internal delaminations that are definitely the culprit. I'm looking up at the ceiling right now to find, if I can, an old example pocket delam, but I'm not seeing any that are drilled like that. And here's board number. This is board number 4 from my entire career of board making. That's the 4th board ever pressed. They were pressed on the same day. And here's board number 2. It's so funny. It's got all its dimensions on it. They are 33 by 8.8 by 15 inch wheelbase, Fickle number 2 prototype. Wow, this is cool to look at. Because I just got them off the ground, just got them up there. Because I had a huge stack. Found another dead spot. There are dead zones for coverage down here because of the pipes and stuff. But not finding any of the delams down here. Almost everything has come out really pretty usable. But another reconnect moment. I know that we've had. I've had plenty of boards, but plenty. I don't know. Probably, I might have had 10 boards that did it. I see a candidate up there. Let me pull it down. This is possibly it. Okay. We're glitchy. All right. Here's a board that had a giant warp in it. Giant, magnificent, crazy warp here. You can really see a warp on the bottom like that. I mean, there's a board with a huge warp. I'm holding the back flat, and you can see the front is off, insanely off. And boards like this often happened with Come on, man. Let's have some tech positivity here. So boards like this often happen with internal delamination. This one has not been exploratory drilled, but I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a little vertical view session here. But this one, I can see it. For criminies, the technology. I can see that it's got some pocket stuff going on. And over the years as well, I see it has gotten some moisture cracking. But if you take a board and you screw it to your ceiling near your hydronic heating system pipes, they're going to crack. But this one was warped, and also the glue lines. Now, this one was from like 2012. it's got a really, really thick glue line on its first layer at the top. And it's almost by not so much too much glue as it is by what you call it, my press being misaligned. I mean, right now this one is out of commission. You know, it's not being used, and I'm gonna have to. It's got a rubber pad in it right now to keep contact off. I'm gonna reattach. All I do is sink a few wood screws through here. I'll close it down and attach the top, and then I'll lift the top up, and then I'll take out the pad. I guess the world is just too busy with internet. But I'm back. Maybe everyone's just on the internet, but I turned on my Wi-Fi. So what I'll do is I'll really try not to curse a lot, but this tech stuff really burns my biscuits, man. So I don't think it's a question so much of where I set my camera. I think it's actually a factor of, I'm so angry about the internet right now. I'm so angry. Oh my gosh. I just want to talk about delamination and pocket pooling and internal delamination in boards because you guys have me so stoked, and my internet keeps going out, and there's no good reason for it because it always works down here except for when it doesn't. It just drives me nuts how this tech stuff just triggers me, man. I'm triggered. And all right, so yeah, and then I take my rubber mallets, and I've got rubber mallets sitting around, and I'll rubber mallet the thing into place and like that, and that, you know, and I settle it down and I wiggle it and I do all those things to that bottom one because I got a floating bottom mold. My bottom molds float, and sometimes over the course of a whole bunch of pressings, I'll actually get my molds misaligned and get something with a pocket delamination in there and get a groovy top. And sometimes I've tried to sand them smooth, and I really didn't like what happened on the top. So I wound up taking the board and just, or as I'm drilling the holes for the trucks, I'll look through and see first layer, it's not joined, second layer, it's closer, third layer, it's not joined, and then it's joined, and I see like, oh man, when you get them diagonal, the hips catch on the shoulders, and you get a bad pressing, and I'm all for it. That's a great problem to be having because it means you're making stuff. The issue with it is if you've purchased like 10 boards worth of wood and you get that problem on a 2-board stack or even a 1-board stack, you've lost 10% of your investment, and it's a bummer. I really, that's harsh, you know. Now I've got to tell you something. Ben Butler, I don't know if you're still with us, but if you are, I want to talk about how my molds work because I'm driving my molds with 2 jacks. Okay, I've got 2 jacks on a table. My top mold, you know, you'll turn this one 4 quarter turns, that's 2 turns. You turn that one 4 quarter turns, and you do 4 and 4 and 4 and 4, or you do 6 and 6 and 6 and 6, or however it works as long as I'm getting good boards. Usually I'll do 5 quarter turns on this one, and then I'll go to the other side and do 5 and then 5 more. And what's happening there with my process is, we've talked about this before, but I'll say things over and over. What's happening is my top mold, I go 5 quarter turns, and it doesn't just go down, it goes down and it swings. Within the guides of the press, there's slop in there, and it'll swing a centimeter, right? It goes down like that, and then I do the other one down 5 and it's level, and then down 5 more and it swings that way. And there's this little bit of canoeing that I call it canoeing. It kind of canoes its way down. And I also notice when I get down to where I'm tightening them on this model of press, this design, is you get it so it's tight, and then the one side, you'll tighten it up, the other side loosens just a little bit. And so you're really getting to the end and you're just snugging them up by feel. And it's in that dynamic motion that, I would have a problem maybe once every other year with misalignment. I think it's much more likely that that's attributable to bumping it. Doing something that bumped it, like if I was making a mold over here and I bumped that over there. So these are some of the factors I've seen on what gives me problems with those wobbly top pockets of space in the board where you don't get a good bind. I stopped having so many of those. I think one of the factors that really helped level out my glue lines was that I started 3-stacking my pressings, 3 deep. I got fast at rolling glue, so I was well within the open work time. I roll glue like a weirdo. I wonder if Bryce rolls glue like I roll glue. I got a whole karate thing that goes with rolling glue. And I've done videos on it before. But with 3 boards, the compression of the wood and all those factors really playing well, and I get really good compression and really good glue lines. And I wonder if it's spreading out the force and making the boards, making the boards better by just spreading out the amount of force. Where there might have been a binding place, the actual compression of the maple is creating force, spread and getting the force like that, because I have awesome extrusion. I have really good glue lines with 3 deep in my press. And when I was doing single board pressings, I was getting some of those pockets sometimes, and any imperfection of alignment or any imperfection in the mold, because even, I'm telling you guys, nothing's perfect. And so I double stacked. I remember in 2011, I double stacked, and then the double stack, the glue lines were even better. And I had good boards coming out with the single stack from like day one. But with the double stack, I was like, oh, this is getting sweet. And then triple stacked, once I learned how to roll glue really fast, I started getting just really thin, beautiful glue lines. And I thought, oh, geez, I was kind of bragging about having heavy glue lines because the board is built. And I'm down for that. If I look at your boards and you've got heavy glue lines, if you've got really good, big, thick, ugly joints in there, I was like, that board is bomber. It's really a cool sign of a craft-made board. But I started getting those thin, pretty glue lines like this one, where you can't even see. I'm going to touch the screen right there. You can't even see the glue in there. I never thought that I would get glue lines like that, but that was what triple stacking did with mine. So with my molds, the deeper the stack was, the better. Now, if you don't have the time to roll glue like that, if that is the remedy for your top ply bubbling, if that's a remedy, it could be an issue with your mold itself. And one way to fix that is if you're not a fast glue roller and you can't hit the open work time, then one thing you could do is you could pad your press. You could put in some cork to take up and let the force spread out. I use the word cork. It could be rubber. You could attach it to your press. You could use some masonite in there, or you could just take some extra maple veneer and throw it in there. If you do it right, you don't have to get glue all over it. You could throw in a slug of flat maple veneer just to pad it up and see if that helps. I would put it on top. You might want to put it on bottom. It'll change the way things work. So these are some things from my brain, but I do know that alignment of your press is really major on keeping those bubbles down. And I also know that padding your press load is really major if you're getting those bubbles. So I blew it. I could have talked about this in the morning for coffee, but I couldn't help myself. I had to get on here and yak it up because you guys get me so stoked. Cannot believe there are a bunch of makers who are encouraging one another and sharing tech with one another. That is such a welcome change to when I first began. Yoga mat, top and bottom. That's depending on what the yoga mat is. It's you might want to double or triple layer depending on how thick and like that. But because on mine, yoga mats would press really, really, really thin. I don't have it anymore, threw it out, but I started with hard rubber, but glue didn't come off hard rubber. Hey, you guys, it's gonna be dinner time here soon. Gotta go eat with my family. But boy, am I glad that we get to play around in these, what do you call it? Sandboxes of craft and inspiration together. And boy, you know, please keep asking questions on the Makers Movement, and let's keep talking about them. Really, yeah, it wears out the yoga mat. And Mike, I presume that you press one-offs, one at a time. So, I don't take a breath very often when I'm talking to you guys. That was nice. So, God bless. I will, let's see, man, this project idea we had years back has grown so much. Boy, Eric Sanders, the original admin of our effort to create a Makers Movement. Does anyone remember how that group was attacked and ambushed? We just started over. It's all good. You press 2 at a time, Mike. And I've got a board from Mike right here on my ceiling up there, nice and safe. That's the tester board that got destroyed. And then Mike hand painted me one that's over there, away from any of the heating. It's in a safe spot over there. Boy, you guys really, you really make me happy with your questions and stuff, and you really make me feel like I know what I'm doing today, which has turned out in these days of, you know, everything's so hectic on so many fronts. You've got on the health front, we're all very sad. Many of us have lost people. Many of us experience apprehension and things like that. On other fronts, there's politics, there's all sorts of things going on. But boy, oh boy, is it nice to be able to just come down in the workshop and talk to you guys about making something. And I hope that you all just breathe deep, enjoy, and be good to each other too. Be kind to each other, and hit me up if there's, you know, and if you're ever coming through Cincinnati, come on down and be in a video with me. That would be really fun. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.